Allen. He is the host of the Overton Report, which can be heard on BigPatriotRadio.com. Joins us now. Corey, thanks for spending a few minutes with us on the program.
I really do appreciate you having me, Andrew. I think it's important to talk about these things. Their whole goal when they do things like this is to get us to shut up. So the best way to fight that is to continue talking and be even louder about it, I think.
Yeah,
see how that pans out for me.
You're being sued right now because you told the truth. And I'm not even going to set up the story. You go ahead and let us know what happened and then why you're being sued and what you're doing about it.
Sure. So one of the places that we've seen the left implement their goals for the future is the education system. It's something that they've made massive inroads there over the past 20 years. And over the past few years, groups like Moms for Liberty, various Moms for America, there are various groups for educational freedom and educational choice, and a move against what has become literal indoctrination of future generations, and whether it's elementary school, middle school, high school, universities, right? And I've written about that. I've worked with a lot of those groups. I've written about a number of things that they're doing, everything from Planned Parenthood working with LGBT groups to pay children to come to sex education groups where they teach pleasurable gay sex. That's happening in Charleston. That's happening in Florida. That's happening in North Carolina, Tennessee, everywhere. Planned Parenthood is working with groups to do things like that. I've written about that. And I've written about teachers who, for example, there's a teacher in Greenville who has pro-Soviet Union and pictures of Stalin when he was young all over her classroom, and she's like bragging on TikTok about indoctrinating the kids in her classroom. She was a teacher of the year in South Carolina. So I wrote an article about a teacher who in Beaufort County, South Carolina, that includes Hilton Head, Beaufort, Bluffton, which is a very well-to-do area. And this public school teacher there has been giving out surveys to children. She's a computer teacher. So they go to her class like twice a week. And these are 11 and 12-year-olds. And she's giving them surveys asking them what their preferred pronouns are, and if, various very, very personal things, right? The administrators, the district, nobody knew about this. She's bragged about doing it for years. Parents had no access to this or their children's answers. And the worst part about this was in the questionnaires, she was telling these 11-year-old children, "I will not tell anyone about this." Actually, the quote is, I quote, "I promise to keep these just between you and me." At the very top of the survey, what are your preferred pronouns? Do you want me to use your pronouns in class and in messages home, or is it private between you and me? Things like that, right? So I wrote about it. I wrote about that happening. I had the survey. I had students that were concerned, but who were afraid to speak out or ask the teacher about it because she had previously spent time talking about how her own child, who was a minor at the time, was trans. So obviously she had told these 11-year-olds, this is the proper belief. Therefore, those children, they don't want anything to do with challenging her, right?
So you write the article. The article then comes out. I assume then from how the story is shaping up currently, the teacher sees this. What's a little bit of the reaction, and then how did the lawsuit begin?
So the reaction was people were appalled. People were parents and just people throughout South Carolina, some legislators Some elected officials actually shared the article, and that really set this teacher off. And the school district actually put her on paid administrative leave for quite some time. Now it's paid administrative leave, and she did end up just being transferred to a different school. She still works with the district. Okay. Now here we are a year later, because I wrote this last year in 2023. I think it was like April of 2023. And then a few months ago, a list of legislators who had shared the article, myself, at least one or two of the parents, and one other person with a show were all named in a lawsuit of defamation and slander by this woman via a trans rights activist group, legal group, based out of Nebraska. So that's how the lawsuit came about. A trans rights legal group decided to take the case on. And the reason that happened is because we just passed a law in South Carolina saying that teachers and administrators in schools are not legally allowed to hide this information from parents anymore.
Yeah.
And
so they had to go out of state to find the right, to find the law on the book they could use to do this.
Well, no, not necessarily, because it's a defamation suit. So I'm just saying that the reason that they have decided to use civil lawfare in this state against us is because of the fact that we passed a law making what she had been doing up to that point illegal.
I see.
And they want it to be legal, so they're suing us.
Now, so obviously you're defending yourself. You have an attorney.
I do have an attorney, yes.
Briefly, what is your defense and what does the case look like? Do you have any anticipation of an outcome at this time, or are we still in the argument phase? Or
sure, we are just now getting into the interrogative phase, which is they are sending questions that they want us to answer. I mean, and standard things that in a civil suit they would ask, things like, give me literally all of the passwords to everything you have. And then our lawyer says, yeah, no, we're not going to do that. That's, right to privacy, et cetera, et cetera. So it's that type of back and forth. We did make a motion to dismiss. Those are rarely granted. What the main crux of it is I didn't say anything false. And these people on the other side of this issue, the lawyer, the legal group, and the individual, the complainant herself, have gone to multiple news outlets throughout the country and throughout the state talking about this lawsuit. And in these things, they in these articles, they're quoted as saying that the things that I said were true. Now, in a court, an absolute defense against defamation is telling the truth. If what you say is true, then it is not defamation or slander or libel. Truth is an absolute defense. Also,
because if you write something or you say something in print or in other form of media, and it's true and it's objectively true, that's not defamation. That's a statement of fact, just like any other statement of fact, and you can comment on those things. And so long as, again, you're not reaching the point of an unjust accusation or without fact, without any basis, to where it's just now your opinion is becoming accusatory, and then you can get into defamatory and libel. But when you just
do it maliciously,
yeah, right, and
she's a public figure because she's paid with public funds. She's a limited public figure. She's a teacher. She's working with children in a public school system. So where do you think this goes? I think, I don't want to necessarily jinx myself, but
where would you hope it would go from here?
Oh, I think it'll be dismissed. I think that once the discovery is had, and once the judge sees everything laid out in front of him or her, then a summary judgment will be made to dismiss the case. I do believe that. And at that point, we can talk about countersuits, and we can talk about issues of attempted lawfare, because like I said, they have gone to outlets throughout the nation. I even had one sent to me that was written in German. So internationally, they have been attacking me for telling the truth about what they did. So
Now, part of the reason that they do this is because, by they being, opposition and do these lawfare and so on, is because they're trying to silence other people. Yes, they're trying to silence you, but they don't want other people to stand up either. So they want to make an example of you, correct?
yeah, that's
And in that, what would you say to maybe to help encourage more citizens just tell the truth about what's going on in their school districts, in their communities? Because again, there's truth. The one thing I say on every show is that the truth will set you free, and the truth will keep you free. And that's true. We need, the truth is what's going to preserve freedom and liberty in our country, but it's up to us to bring it to bear and bring it to light. How would you encourage somebody who might be afraid of, that what's happening to you might happen to them?
absolutely. And while it is true that the truth wins, it oftentimes is not a matter of instant gratification, right? The truth wins eventually, as long as you continue to stand up for it. Now, the lies, the attacks on the truth will be relentless, but as long as you continue to stand in that truth, you will come out the other side. You just have to keep trudging forward, even as the bullets are racing by you. I would say to those people, one of the 3 reasons that the Overton Report began was to help people who were being, who were afraid of coming out and telling the truth about what was happening in their multinational corporations during COVID, or in certain fire departments and police departments who were being forced to get a jab, the experimental jab that they didn't want, but they knew that they couldn't come out themselves because of retaliation. Teachers in schools, parents afraid of their children being retaliated against. That was one of the 3 main reasons that I began to pour my entire heart and soul into the Overton Report. Was I will take the arrows. People like you, Andrew, will take the arrows. If these whistleblowers, if these people are seeing true injustices and they still haven't reached the point where they're comfortable enough speaking out and yelling it from the rooftops themselves, people like us are here to stand in that gap and tell those truths for them, protecting them and taking the arrows. And that's what we're here for, right? If not that, then what?